Okay, so tonight on the leadership table, we are going to talk about getting people to events because I think events are so crucial for creating community. And you may have heard this quote before, but it's worth repeating. Culture eats strategy for lunch. And what that means is you can have the best business strategies in the world, but if you don't have culture and community, you're not going to have staying power. You're not going to have like the culture and the community is the glue that holds your team together, especially during times that feel like they're in momentum or through times of adversity even, or when people's points go down, or the inevitable ebbs and flows of business that are just normal. Culture and community gives people staying power. So I have had several conversations with leaders over the past week or two, and what I like, it just keeps coming up. Like, and I even had Christina one time was like, I'm just so proud of this person on my team. She's been around for years, and she's hit some hard times and encountered some challenges, but she's just gritty. Like, I'm just so impressed with her grit, and she keeps showing up, and now she's got some momentum on her team, and I'm just so excited for her. And I was just thinking about that, and she's not the only leader that has come to me saying things similar to that about different people on the team. And I've just been thinking a lot about like what gives people grit. And I think that culture and community are a huge part of that. And so it might be the compensation plan or a paycheck that gets them here, or it could be our products that get them here. It could be a number of things that cause them to join or take interest in the first place, but it's going to be the people that keep them here. And I think when people find themselves in community with others who they feel they can relate to, and they just see themselves as a part of this, and they build real genuine relationships with people on the team or in Plexus, it really does give staying power. Because there comes a point where it's just way harder to quit because of what you would be walking away from than it is to keep going, even though keeping on also feels hard. And so I'm very curious to hear from you. Has there, say in the chat, you can just type it out, has there ever been a time in your business where you have felt like quitting, but what kept you here, what kept you going was the relationships you had here? I'm very curious. All right, so I already see some of you guys answering. Yes, absolutely. And I agree. I could say the same exact thing. And so tonight, I want you guys to hear from three jewels. Well, one is the senior Ruby, soon to be Jewel, but three leaders who are, I notice consistently, are able to fill a room with people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in person. You can also build culture and community through virtually, right? But one of the leaders that you are going to hear from tonight, she lives states and states away from where I live, but I would definitely say she feels like she is part of our community, even though she's not local, and that's Kayleen. Okay, so Terry Richardson, she's in Emerald. She lives probably 2 hours from me. Christina lives 3 hours from me. And Katie Wiggins lives 2 hours from me. Kayleen lives in Delaware. All right, and then I'm in Georgia, in case y'all didn't know that. And if any of y'all are new-ish. But anyways, we all kind of work this business in community with one another. We are in business for ourselves, but never by ourselves. And so tonight, I just really want us to focus on, as leaders, the importance of community and events specifically, because I think events are that is such an effective way to build community, is to get people in a room where there is excitement and there's energy and people want to be there and people are happy and they're excited about the future and they're like-minded and they're encouraging and they're uplifting and they cheer each other on and they see future possibilities. There's just nothing like it. There's just no replacement for human interaction with like-minded people, right? And if you can be in the same room with them where genuine conversations can take place, even better. All right, so we're going to jump in. We're going to hear from Terry first. So Terry, can you share with us how you consistently get people to events, whether it's 2 hours away here at my house where we're just coming to train on a Saturday morning, or local, you have team dinners, you also host sip and sees frequently, and you always have people showing up. So tell us how you do that.
Okay, so y'all know that I was sold at an event. So I feel very strong about events. And I literally, when I'm trying to get people there, I listen a lot. And what I mean by that is just like with Christina, whenever she was connecting with me and us talking before I ever went to an event, like just because of her talking to me and learning my personality, she was like, she found out that I wasn't around a lot of positive people, but she knew that I love people. And so she knew what carrot to dangle. And so she basically said, girl, just listen, come meet all these people. They're so encouraging. You're going to love them. Even if you don't even join me, just come hang out, no strings attached. And so I was like, oh, okay, then let me come meet all these positive people, because I don't believe that. And so I did. And
you drove an hour, right? To
yes,
get to this event.
Yes. And I was 2 days from about to have back surgery. I was busy. I was trying to get all the things, but she knew, she had listened to what I needed in my life. And so I say this, and I'm not telling y'all to go do this, but it's really important to listen to what your people need. I had a friend who, her name was Kaylin, and she was so stressed out, like she's in the middle of changing jobs and all the things. And I didn't feel like it was the people she needed, because she was already complaining about the people around her and all the things. And my mind, I was thinking, dang, this girl need a drink. I'm not even kidding. I said, you know what? Just come anyway. You're 5 minutes away and we're going to have mimosas. She said, oh, I'm coming. So I'm not saying offer alcohol, but I'm just saying listen to people's pain points and get them there, because the goal is, first off, our community is amazing. There's nothing like it, but the goal is to get them there, because what I found when I got there was so many people still, they felt the same way I did. They had all the fears that I did, and they were completely normal people. So whatever you can do to get them there, get them there. I definitely sell our community a whole ton. I build up the value of just the encouragement that we have and how we do all the things together. We do book studies together. We don't have drama, just all the things. So that is definitely my number one. Another thing I do is I kind of create FOMO. Like if I'm trying to get them to a training or whatever, and they have been curious about this opportunity, but they've had all these objections, I'm like, listen, I totally get it. Like I had all those same objections. I'm telling you, I know you don't see that you probably don't think I did, but I did. Just come hang out with us. I really believe that when you leave there, you're going to have complete peace of mind, whether this is something for you or not. And whether they join me or not, I mean, I just tell them, like, if you join me, great. If not, listen, you met a bunch of really cool people and you ate some good snacks. And so I just kind of take that pressure off, but let them know when they leave, they will have that clarity of if this is for you. And I mean, the same thing with a sip and see. I mean, people come to a sip and see, they're curious. They don't know if this is something for them or not, but by the time they leave, they'll have that clarity, and people, they want clarity. So that's what I do.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
All right. So you're saying you create FOMO. How do you do that? Like, what do you actually say that makes them feel like they're going to miss out if they don't come?
Well, I guess when I mean create FOMO, I just make them want to be there so they can. Well, I do create FOMO by just telling them like all the fun games and stuff that we play. And I build up, I mean, I talk about our food and I talk about the prizes and all that, but also just, I want clarity. Like I build up the fact that you've been on the fence for a hot minute. And so if you come, you're going to have that I guess it's not really creating FOMO. It is for me, but I don't know. I just help them.
You just like speak directly to what you know they need. You're saying
Yes,
they need
yes,
clarity. They need clarity
yes.
on why to come.
Yes.
And that is true no matter if it's like a training 2 hours away at my house, or if it's a sip and see in like in your local town. So
Yeah.
if it's a training, how would you get team members who are already busy and have things going on with their family, and there's a million things they could be doing on a Saturday morning? How would you get them to drive 2 hours to hear a training from people that they hear from on Zooms all the time?
Well, that is a good question. So, I mean, with my team, if we're talking about duplication or whatever, so I'm just going to remind them, talk about their goals, help them see that this is an area that's what's going to help you get to the next goal. That's what we're training on. So I know that their team is going to value all the information. And I mean, here's the thing, if a leader wants their people to be there, then they need to be there. So does that answer your question?
It does. I love what
Okay.
you said about you talk to them about their goals. Basically, you
Yes.
said this is the type of thing that's going to get you to
Right.
where you want to go. So when you're inviting people, it's always about them. It's not like, hey, come do me a favor, hang out with me, or like it's always them focused. Like because you know your people and you've listened to them and what they want, you're able to speak directly to what you know they want, and you're like, this is the thing that's going to help you get what you want. And so you're selling the value of that event to them, whether it's a training 2 hours away on a Saturday morning or a sip and see. What would you say to a prospect to get them to come to a local sip and see?
Prospect to come to a local sip and see. Somebody that I've been talking to for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, hey, listen, I know that we've been on the fence. I would love for you to come ride with me to this sip and see, so you can see how other people just like you are taking these products, hear from other people besides me, and just see if this would be a good fit.
Yes, love it.
Right.
No pressure. Just come
Mhm.
see if this would be a good fit. Like, I'm not going to put pressure on you to buy anything. Just come check it out. Like, again, it's the clarity. You know, they want clarity. You know, they're curious. You know, they're interested, but they're on the fence, and they obviously have some skepticism or some hesitation. And so you are speaking to directly what they need, which is clarity. Hey, come see if this might be this is going to be the thing that's going to get you what you want, which is clarity. Right?
Right. Yes.
All right. Perfect. Love it. Thank you, Terry. Well, that makes perfect sense why you always have people at events. Great job. Okay. Thank
Can
you
I
for
say
sharing.
something? Can I say something before we jump in? So here's the thing. Sometimes people will look and be like, man, I wish I could find the next rock star or whatever. But there was a definite process in recruiting Terry, right? It was a lot of, she didn't just say, sure, yeah, I'll come to your event. This was obviously over a year of following up with her, but then she had every reason not to come. Like, yeah, I'll come. And then, well, I got back surgery in a few days. Now I'm busy. And so what I did not do was let her off the hook. Like, once she had said, yeah, I do want to come to your event, I'm like, okay, cool. I got her to get some buy-in by saying, listen, everybody's going to be bringing a couple of little finger foods or whatever. You might want to like grab something on the way. I'm sure people would love it. So she already knew she was going to be contributing. Terry is a helper. So I wouldn't necessarily make someone else do that, but I knew that I needed to make her feel needed. And so I'm like, hey, could you pick something up on the way? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. Y'all, she brought 18 pounds of barbecue. I don't know who she thought she was feeding at this event, but 18 pounds of barbecue. But there were times before that event where she would try to back out, and I would just have to like gently remind her, like, girl, we'll figure that out. Remember, this is what you're coming for. Come hang out. It's going to be totally worth it. So it was a process. Sometimes when somebody says, yeah, I'll come, and then the day before they text you and say, such and such and such and such is going on, your tendency is to say, okay, well, maybe next time. What if, not in a pushy way, but you just helped them remember why they committed in the first place? And sometimes I'll even say, yeah, I get that. Like, I'll even kind of gently share what I'm having to give up in because of the event. So I'm like, I get it. Listen, my kid has this thing too. I just kind of decided that this was going to be the priority today. Anyway, is that helpful? Maybe not. But go after your people. I mean, you just never know when getting out of your comfort zone and inviting a stranger. Terry was a stranger. I had met her one time to your home to meet your friends could end up paying off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you followed up with her for a year, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, Terry, I have one other question for you. You said you were sold at an event, like it was the community that made you decide you were going to give this a shot. What sold you? I'm just curious. What happened at that event that caused you to make a decision? For all these leaders on here who are about to host events, tell them what to do that is magical.
I mean, because I had so many objections. And then first off, everybody made me feel very welcome. I mean, I remember Nancy being there. I mean, there was a good bit of people. And they just made me feel like they knew me. But they also had objections too. And so, no offense, if any of them are on there, they didn't seem like very special, extra special people. I mean, they're very special to me now, but I'm just saying they didn't seem like they had any superpowers. And I'm like, okay, they're doing hard things. And something about being in a room of people who are pushing and doing hard things together, that is so empowering because you just feed off each other. And I literally, y'all left there in tears. I mean, I'm not even kidding because my work environment was so negative. And this was so not, like, it was so positive. And I was just like, I want to be a part of this. Whatever it is, let's do it. And I was still scared to death, but just knowing that I was doing it with other people. We just be scared
Say
together.
something about that answer,
Yeah.
Britt.
Mhm.
Culture. Here's what I'm not good at, y'all. Making people feel warm and welcome. Not my
Oh, yeah,
strength.
that didn't come from her.
But I knew that. So I went to Nancy ahead of time and and I have done this multiple times with Nancy, with Terry, with Brittany. And I'm like, hey, listen, so-and-so's coming. Here's how I want them to feel. I'm going to do my best, but could you help me? Could you pay some special attention? Could you pull her aside, ask her a question? Could you just make eye contact? Like I will ask for help from people if this is not my strength. And I mean, I do it to Terry now. Terry knows, like, hey, my friend Melissa's coming to this event. Can you please sit beside her, make nice with her? And I mean, it gives people who that is their strength a way to use that strength to serve. And it allows the person to leave feeling how you wanted them to feel, even if it wasn't going to come from me.
Yeah. And that event that Terry came to, it was a training event at Christina's house. So in case y'all were wondering if it was a sip and see or a training, it was an actual training. And Christina and I that was, I don't remember what we talked about, but I mean, anytime we're going to train, there's going to be vision. We definitely believe in what's possible here for us and for everybody in the room, and I think that is also very important. That is contagious. So if you are about to host an event and you're going to be doing some training or sip and see, it doesn't matter. If people are going to be in the room, I think what's really important is casting big vision, and it needs to be just like an overflow of your belief and excitement. Like especially if you're about to speak, you need to envision, if the people in the room, they start making paychecks that are $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month. What is that going to do for them? And hype yourself up before you get up there. It's really important that you show up with energy and enthusiasm, excitement, and belief. Those things are really important too. Okay. Kayleen, let's hear from you.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay, so some of my notes that I have, much of it was gleaned from these jewels because I just had an event in Delaware where Brittany flew up here. And it's kind of like celebrity status. And it's like, okay, how do we act normal, but yet know that we have someone very important here? But what it looked like was massive, excited, genuine activity. So we were genuinely excited about this event. We were in massive activity, sending out tons of reach outs to high potential people, whether it was for the products or the opportunity. So there was zero doubt that this opportunity was nobody needed to miss it. This is for everybody, because everyone has a gut and everyone needs an opportunity. And so massive activity. But also personal connection. So the people that we are connecting with, that we want to be at this event, we need to be aware of what their pain points are. So if this is a health prospect who needs to hear about gut health, they need to be educated. This is a great tool, a follow-up tool to say, hey, we are doing this event. And I really think that when you come here, your mind is going to be blown by what you are about to hear. And you're going to have connections that you've been praying for. If it's about the opportunity, it's calling out their strengths. It's calling out their giftings. It's calling out the like-mindedness that you have with this person, like the same core values. And so even just simply saying, I know, Sally, that this event that we are having women here who are successful, who love people well, who know the products well. And you're going to come here and you are going to leave so inspired. And you're going to realize that there is a culture and a community unlike anything you've seen before. And so you are basically selling them what they're longing for, like what they're seriously just desiring. And so really you have to sell the event, whatever it is, but it has to meet a need that they have. And it has to be valuable to them to make it worth their time, because time is so valuable, and what they are sacrificing on a weekend typically is a lot. It's family time. And so you have to build the value of what this could mean for them. And so like Terry said, listen is really important, but then be excited about what this could mean for them. The other thing that I have here is people will not invite friends to something that's going to make them look bad or embarrass them. So, if you are excited about this event and you build the value enough to them to be like, hey, I don't know if you want to bring your sister, you mentioned her to me before, but this will be an incredible opportunity for you guys to come together. We're also having some prizes and some great food, and whoever brings the most friends gets the big door prize or whatever, and just keep building upon the value of what this could be for them. Also, sticking to your time limits is really important to value people's time, because we don't want people to be at an event for 3 hours. They need to know, hey, this is a 1 hour commitment. You're going to come. And if you choose to stay and linger and ask questions, that's totally fine. But this is going to be a 45-minute event. And so you have the rest of your day. And so people feel like, oh, okay, I can do that. Like I can carve out some time to make 40 minutes and then head out and plan around that. And then let's see. Follow up. It's a ton of follow up, guys. Getting people to an event, everybody's busy. And so you might pencil something on that calendar or put it on your phone and it'll be gone. And so just like we get those reminders from Kohl's, I registered for Smallwoods. They have these beautiful signs. They text me every day, every day. And so it's a reminder to me to be like, you know what, you can't follow up too much, because if this is valuable and you're not following up, people aren't going to believe that this is valuable for them to sacrifice their time. So the follow-up is a sign of how valuable you think that this event is and how valuable that it will be for them. Okay, so if you fail with the follow-up, you won't get their buy-in to actually sacrifice their time to come. So I think that's all I had.
So good. Those were great tips, Kayleen. Okay, I have questions.
Yep.
Okay, so when I came up there, I was so impressed. All I can think was, wow, they worked really hard. Like y'all put a lot of work into that event. And so that makes perfect sense what you're saying. You said massive activity. You said you have to follow up, fortunes in the follow-up, but also what was most impressive was I'm pretty sure every single person from your team who was there had people show up. Like you weren't the only one that had people show up. I mean, how many people were there? Like 40 people? At least 40 people.
Yep, 35 to 40.
Okay. So you weren't the only one that got people in the room. Everyone on your team who's working the business had people in that room. So as a leader, you didn't just go do the work yourself. You empowered your whole team to get results too, to get people in that room. Speak to that. How did you empower your team?
Well, any messages that I was sending out, I would drop in our chat so that they could see. Follow-up messages, put those in there. But then it was just also continuing to show excitement to my team, and letting them know and doing a countdown, or, hey, Brittany's going to be here in 5 days. I can't even believe it. And I know Becca too, she would say things like, I'm about to get in the car with Brittany Howard. I'm so excited. But just just talking about it and just being so real and just making them feel just as part of it as we were, who were, organizing everything. Also, another thing was graphics. I created some really fun graphics. I had an itinerary so that they knew exactly what to expect at what time. And so, yeah, I had an invite graphic, but I also had the day graphic of like everything that was happening so that they felt informed. And they had just a good handle on what the event was going to look like all day. So
Love it. That's so good, Kayleen. Okay. So I hope you guys wrote down those leadership tips there. Everything she just said was gold. I love what you said about just sharing your excitement every day and then making them like feel like they were just as responsible for the success of how this went as you were. And like that, it was like the delegating or the not outsourcing. Was it outsourcing? What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. It just like everything you just said, it empowered them. Like they took ownership. And it wasn't just your event, it was their event too, and they felt responsible and they felt empowered. They knew exactly what to do. They shared in your excitement, and it was a great turnout. And also you guys were super hospitable. Y'all made me feel like a celebrity, and it was a little awkward. I'm like, my friends don't act like this.
I mean, we know you're normal.
Christina.
You're like, we don't? I thought we did. Treat you like royalty.
Christina was like, why don't you open the doors for me, Christina? She'd be like, I did. She'd jump in the driver's seat and hop over and sling the door open on the passenger side. Not
Abby's paying attention. Abby, listen, she set the bar real high. So get my door and I'm gonna walk real slow. I'm gonna walk real slow. I would probably be like, Abby, let that door go right now. We're gonna be racing to the door.
I'm totally kidding y'all, but they really did. They made me feel extra special. So it was super, super sweet. They did a great job overall. Okay, Kayleen, thank you for sharing all that. Okay, Katie Wiggin.
One more. Can I?
Oh, yes.
The other thing that I did was you mentioned delegated, but Autumn has an incredible sip and see setup that I was like, okay, that's totally her wheelhouse. She is the product guru. She loves ingredients. And so I elevated her in that area with the setup, which was phenomenal. But then I also had, people who shared their testimonials who I knew were just packed with a punch that were so effective and that people could relate to. And then also had people helping in the kitchen, getting the food going at the end of the event. And so we could transition quickly. And so a lot of that also makes people feel valued, but they're also doing what they love to do. Some people don't like to stand up front and speak, but they will go ahead and get food together and put on a table and make sure everything's ready. Like that is their gift and that's their strength zone. And so think about your team and how you can put them in different areas that is going to elevate their strengths and it's going to bring them joy and feel just as much a part of things. So that was awesome.
Yeah, and it sets them up as leaders because leaders add value. And you're giving them a way that they can add value. Because I think most people do want so much to add value, but they don't always know what to do and they don't want to overstep. So you as a leader empowering them by delegating, like finding ways to bring people in and give them a role, whether it was speaking or preparing the food or the Autumn's amazing table. It was beautiful. I was so impressed by her table. Or decorations. I mean, just all of it. I mean, yes, delegating definitely causes people to take ownership and it makes them feel empowered. So those definitely great leadership tips. Oh, I made a live video about it, Shannon, in the team page. I videoed Autumn's table. It was very nicely done. It was like boho. Like I've never seen a boho themed plexus table. So it was just so pretty and like vintage looking. It was just unique. Okay, Katie, you ready?
Yes. I don't know
Okay.
how I'm gonna go after them. All my notes, I just totally like, I back all y'all said, what y'all said. Terry and Kayleen pretty much covered everything that I have on my list.
Well, let me just
And
say before you start going, just so y'all know, this whole call tonight was birthed because I had a conversation with Katie earlier this week. I was also talking to Michelle earlier this week. We were talking about this very topic, and so I was thinking, who do I know who's really good at this? So I'm like, I called Katie and I start asking her a lot of questions, and after like 20 minutes, I'm like, I wish we had recorded this whole thing. How about we do this again Thursday night in front of everybody? So anyways, I just loved everything that she said. So when Katie came to Momentum Meetup at Michelle's a few weeks ago, Michelle hosted it here in Savannah, but Katie lives 2 hours away. So I'm standing in Michelle's kitchen helping set up or whatever, and Katie comes in and I go to hug her. And then I noticed she had like this long line of like 11 or 12 people behind her. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of people that all drove 2 hours on this Saturday to come hang out with us, you know? So, but she does that consistently. Like she just gets people to show up. She does events where she lives all the time. And I just know that Katie's like, just listening to her talk the past several times I've heard her, she's always referring to what she's doing as a leader that I know from experience builds culture and community. And I'm so impressed by that because culture and community does not happen on its own. It will not happen by accident. If you see strong culture and community, it was a leader who cultivated it. And so that's why I'm just always so impressed by the things that Katie says she's doing with her team. All right, so Katie, go ahead. No pressure.
none at all. None at all.
But
So
it better be smart and good.
I'm gonna try. So just a little recap of how I got people to Michelle's is I really built up the Momentum Meetup. I was like, I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be good, and you need to come with me. I bring all the excitement. I don't know how to tone it down sometimes. So it's like sometimes it can be contagious, sometimes it can be intimidated, but right now the excitement just is contagious and people want to come. They want to know what you know, and they want to, they're like, okay, if you're that excited about it, I'm down. And so another thing about it is I'm like, you can ride with me. You can ride with me. We'll go eat supper afterwards. You know, I just make a fun day out of it. And a lot of, by the pain points, I do listen to them, but a lot of the people on my team, they want that mama's day out. They need that time away. And one girl on my team, she did not know we was going to do all the things after the meetup. And she was just like, totally, we got back to my house and she got to her car. She's like, thank you so much. I needed this day. And it just like melted my heart. And I'm like, okay, when can we do another one? You know? So I did get 10 people to come to that day. And all of them, it was just being persistent. You hear me and Angela talk about being persistent all the time. We're persistent with recruiting. We're persistent with duplicating. And so I'm persistent with events. I don't like the word no. So I work around somebody that's like, oh, I can't make it. And so I've learned to ask more questions. And then by the time the questions are over, they're thinking, well, maybe I do. Maybe I can go. And so out of all the people I invited, I had only one that could not come that day. And she got a monkey wrench thrown at her. She had to keep her grandchildren because she had a daughter that was sick. So anywho, but I always bring the belief of an event because my first event, I was only a senior silver and it was at Michelle's house and I was scared to death because I had no idea what I was doing. At that time, I did not get on calls. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then I go to this fancy house and I meet all these fancy people and this little country girl. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where I'm at. And so, but when I left, y'all, I was like, thank you, Lord. This is what I've been missing because y'all, in my town, I have not had the best of girlfriends because everybody is dog eat dog. And then to find a group of God loving women, it just threw me out. I was like, I'm here for life. So for that belief, I'm able to pass it on to everybody on my team. And it shows. Amy, she couldn't be on here tonight, but she is a hard believer and she wants all the people were heard as well. So it's just contagious that way. And that's how I come with every event. I have a huge event this weekend at my sister-in-law's new lodge she built, and I'm gonna have a huge plexus table, and all through town, anybody that I see, I'm like, hey, are you coming? If you want to taste that pink drink, you need to come try it there. And they're like, oh, yes. And so it's just building the excitement and getting people excited. Whether they come or not, they remember how you came to them about the opportunity, about the event. And they're like, okay, she's doing something here. So, and so I have anywhere from 1 to 2 events a month. And presentation is huge with your event. I always have a flow. I have a flow of, setting up my table well, make sure everything's displayed where it can be seen, read, all the things. I do have samples of all the drinks. And then we have a flow of, like, most of the time it's, I get up, I tell my testimony, I say what products I take, and then I give it over to whatever leader, whatever team member is wanting to give that sip and see, whether it be me, whether it be Amy. Amy will get up and give her testimony and maybe talk about the reset or whatever. And then we have Emily. She'll come in, tell her testimony, and talk about the opportunity. 9 times out of 10, we either got somebody that's wanting to ask us about the opportunity or got somebody wanting to start the products. We always have anywhere from 5 to 10 people either new or wanting to learn more about the opportunity at our events. And with that, we always plan them at least 2 weeks in advance if we can, if not sooner, just so we can build that excitement for it. And just keep like, we don't give up. We just keep inviting, let them know, hey, don't forget about this day. And then we live in the same town right now. They're all in close proximity. So I always have team lunches. I get together with breakfast with the other ones that are just about hour, 2 hour away. We'll meet for breakfast. And for that helps with these either corporate events. Like, I have a whole crew going to convention with me just because I have built that culture of who they're going to meet at convention, who they're going to see. And another thing for me is Diamond Docs. I send leaders on my team, I send them Diamond Docs just so they can have a feel of who they're going to meet, as if they have not met Christina or Brittany or Michelle or any of those. I'm like showing them videos. I'm like, this is her, and this is who you're going to see. And so for my excitement, it just goes off to them, and they're all super excited. But yeah, I think that's what I got. I was trying to give a little different aspect from the other two.
Yes, that was really, really good. Okay, several things you said that stood out to me. First of all, you said you always bring excitement, and I hear you say that a lot. You're like, I'm always showing up with excitement, and I just think that is so important as a leader to show up with energy and excitement, because excitement and enthusiasm is contagious. You can't expect anybody to catch a vision you ain't even excited about. If you're not excited, how you gonna get other people excited? How you gonna get other people's buy-in if you ain't even bought in? So I think that is just a great leadership tip. Be excited, be enthusiastic, smile. That is contagious. Love how you said you can ride with me. I think that's really important. Very culture building. I will say some of the best conversations that I've had, and like best opportunities as a leader that I've had to invest in my people have taken place. And I mean, breakthrough conversations have taken place on long car rides, because you got longer than an hour and you in the car with somebody, you got a captive audience. They can't go nowhere, and like, they don't have any choice but to talk to you, right? You can ask any question you want. What are they gonna do? Jump out? I'm sure Christina wanted to jump out. So I love, though, that you offered to let them ride with you. That shows your care for them. That is so personable, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable. Talk about community and making people feel like they belong. I mean, I feel like that's just so rare these days, that type of closeness and community. And especially since the pandemic, I think people crave that so much. Also, what stood out to me, Katie, you said that you were sold at an event. You said the same thing Terry did. Like, you were senior silver when you went to your first event, and you weren't even on calls yet at that point, but you left there sold. What happened at that event that made you walk out feeling sold and thanking God that and knowing this was where you were supposed to be?
Because it definitely wasn't something I was praying for, because I didn't know I was missing it. But Lord works in great ways that way. But I went into that room, and you, Michelle, I was there with Haley and Emily, but all of y'all made me feel like I was family. Y'all made me feel like y'all knew me. And y'all just wanted the best for me. Y'all didn't know, y'all had no idea where I was going, but it's just like y'all knew it, and y'all wanted to let me know. And that is hard to come by. People don't like giving compliments anymore. I mean, I give them all day, every day, and people just nod their head. And I'm like, okay. So when I walked in that room and it was just like constant positivity, I was like, this is where I belong, because that's all I am. I just love being positive for someone, because you never know what someone's going through. And so it humbled me. And then I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna go with this, but I'm staying. And then along the run, I've made the best of friends that I never would have made if it wasn't for this. So yeah.
I love it. Okay. All right. And another thing you said that was huge, and I think everybody needs to write this down. Whatever she answers to this question, lean in and pay close attention. You said that you have a whole bunch of people going with you to convention. How did you do that?
Well, I probably broke down on all of them, just because, y'all, I've had my valleys, and I actually have a team now, and I think my excitement went to a new level. And so for me to tell, because last year was my first convention, I left that convention totally changed, had a fire under my tail, even though it didn't show up until later, but it was there. And I just told them all my belief and my experiences, and it was just something they didn't need to miss. Even if they were not even a rank that they think they should be to be there, I said, it don't matter. I said, because you're either going to fly past that rank and be a different rank next year, or you're going to learn and grow. And so it continually to show that excitement. I told them the value of convention, and just told them what is possible. And for me, I didn't know I could dream. And then Emily helped me know that I could dream again. And so I'm trying to pass that along to them, that they can dream, and they are going to meet a lot of people that are doing so much with their dream and more. And so it's just, they took that and was like, oh, I want more. I need to go to this, and I need to see what's happening at this convention. So
yes, that's so good, Katie. So basically, you are selling them the benefit, you're selling them the value, you know what they want, and you're saying, this is the way, this is what's going to get you there. And okay, so I have a couple other questions. Do you ever have situations where you have built the value of the event and you have plenty of yeses or people who say they're coming? Do you ever have 2 days before or a day before the event, or the morning of, somebody calls and says, you know what, I'm so bummed. I really wanted to come Saturday, but this thing came up and I'm just not gonna be able to. I'm so bummed. I really wanted to come. How do you handle that?
So that does happen more than one time every event. So I always, like Terry said, I always bring the value back. Like, what was their goals and what were they looking for to begin with? Even if they have just started the products, I just let them know what they're going to find if they come. And if they don't, if they are still like, well, I can't really miss this, I just start asking questions. How important is that? And if it's something that is what you use, something that you can't miss, something that came up that just you cannot go, I try to give them grace, but I just let them know how much they're going to be missed and how much they're going to want to be there, and just give them FOMO. I don't remember which one said that, but FOMO, just show them the pictures, show them, oh my gosh, you missed out on what we heard, but I'm gonna tell you, but you missed out right there. So
And has that worked for you? Like, have you actually had people who were calling you to say, I'm not going to make it, actually change their mind and come anyway?
yes, I actually did for the moment. For that Momentum meetup, she had said she was going, and then she talked herself out of it. And then I was like, no, you're not. You're supposed to be at my house at this time. I said, and I'll be right here waiting. And then she was going to be late. And then she was like, I'm going to be late. I'll just drive. I said, no, I can wait. I said, I drive fast. So you can get in the car. Y'all, I'm persistent, y'all. I don't give up. And so she was on time. She was like 2 minutes late, but I made up that 2 minutes. And she was in the car. She had the best time.
And nobody died. You're so hilarious. Okay.
God.
All right. Next question is, all right, have you ever had somebody who they had like a major event in their life and like that it was going to be a huge sacrifice because like maybe they were like moving or like something like major, but they decided that this was worth it to come anyway, to make the sacrifice and come anyway?
I have not yet. I haven't had one yet.
Okay. Terry, Kayleen, have you guys had something like that happen? Christina?
I mean, April is coming to convention and she moves the next day across the country.
So we built the value of it.
I went to convention and my husband had to move while I was gone with all 4 of my kids. So I've always lived by the motto, be willing to do what you're going to ask and expect your team to do. And so if ever that comes up, I have stories I can draw upon from myself. So I think as leaders, this is where you have to judge yourself off of your actual actions and not your intention. So look back at the last events that you were supposed to be at and weren't, and figure out like, okay, from this point forward, I'm going to judge myself based off of my own actions. And if I'm going to let my own self off the hook, how am I going to expect to keep other people on the hook? So that like, you ain't going to ever catch me making an excuse, because then actually one time I made an excuse. Can I make a confession? One time, years and years and years ago, I ain't making it, so I can't tell it. I have to tell her later. I got to confess to something. Okay. Listen, it came up in my memories. That's how I know. And I'm like, oh Lord, I got to confess this and ask for.
Well, that was pre-Jesus. And now you got that Holy Spirit.
Yes. Yes.
He's bringing to remembrance all the sins. Okay.
Like, for real, I ain't never checking my memories again.
We don't need this to turn into the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. So
sorry. Anyway, you show up. The first step in learning how to get people to events is you show up, because that way, when something comes up and people are trying to weasel their way out of events, you can say, hey, listen, I understand that feels urgent, but let's think about what's actually important. Like what you said was this is what I know your goals are. There's always going to be another that. This could be a once in a lifetime though. Like this opportunity, this event, you don't know what connections you're about to make. Here's the line. I'd really hate to see you not prioritize your growth and goals right here in lieu of that. So what if there were going to be an option for this other thing to get worked out without it having to be you, what would that option be? Sometimes they just need help brainstorming. Like, okay, your kid's got a double header at the same time the other kid does. That is problematic. I totally get that. So if there were going to be a solution, like what if you were in the hospital and you weren't an option? What would be another option? And then it's like, well, he really could ride home from the game with his coach, and then my husband could pick him up after the other ball game's over. Like, you're right. That there are ideas.
That's so good, Christina. So
one more thing. And then be prepared to help them sell their significant other on the other idea. Sometimes it's not the thing that's come up that feels the heaviest to them. It's what the husband's going to think about what's come up that feels the heaviest. So it feels easier to disappoint you than to have to go have a conversation with the husband. So be prepared to say, hey, listen, and I know like let me tell you how I've handled this in the past with Brandon. Like I'll have to, what I'll do is tell him on the benefits of me going to this event, what's in it for him, if he's willing to make this sacrifice and that sacrifice for me to be there. And then this how you make it up to him. This how you work up to it, and this how you make it up to him or whatever. So just know that also.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you for thinking of that. Okay. So I've definitely had people that have had major things going on, but have been able to show them that this would be worth the sacrifice and come to something, whether it be convention or, I mean, Christina just said, you know, last year, it was 2020, I believe it was, right? During the pandemic when you were moving and your husband basically had to do it by yourself because you saw the value in it, right? Like you just knew it wasn't an option. And like Kayleen is another example of this. The last year at Ruby Retreat, I'm pretty sure she was moving, and she even asked, she was like, this is my situation. I'm wondering your opinion. It feels really hard, but what do you think? And I just said, like, I empathize with it. I acknowledge this is hard. This is going to be hard. However, yes, I do still think you should come. Like, I think as a leader, it's important that you're there. I think if you come, you're not going to regret it. You're going to leave inspired, fueled, empowered, equipped. But if you don't come, you're going to have lots of regret. And so she came, and I'm pretty sure she didn't regret it. And I've had many, many, many situations like that where people everybody has stuff going on. Sometimes people have major stuff. And I get it. Sometimes, like, they have legitimate reasons. It's not like they're given an excuse. Like if Kayleen chose not to come, I would have called it a reason. I would not have called it an excuse, right? It would have been understandable, but she chose to make the sacrifice anyway, and it was worth it. And so I'm going to close with this, y'all, because we got to hop on book study, which is going to be awesome. I'm excited about. But you're going to hear this on the podcast Tuesday, but three aspects or ingredients that make up influence. If you want to be able to influence others, there's three things that you have to be able to do. Number one, shape someone's thinking. You've heard many examples tonight of how these different leaders have done that. Challenge people. Like, you have to be willing to challenge people. Challenge people, like, to change their behavior or change their contribution, like up the ante. Like, that's how people grow, is when they are being challenged, and they will respect someone who will challenge them. And I'm not saying challenge them as in be a boss and tell them a checklist of things they have to do. I mean, challenge them to grow. Challenge them to do something that's hard so that they can grow. And then the third thing is you role model the values that you are expecting others to display. You role model it. And so anyway, the podcast will go into more detail on that. Like, you can tell patterns in someone's team and in their business if any one of those three elements are missing, like what the results of it are. But anyway, influence is a skill that can be learned. And I think that it does take influence for you to be able to get people to take uncomfortable action, like come to an event where they don't know anybody, or they're an introvert, or whatever their reason could be, or to get them to do something that is going to require a bit of a sacrifice. That's going to require you to be able to influence them. And so you heard lots of great examples tonight of how these leaders are influencing their people for the better, and their people are growing and getting results because of these leaders' influence on them. So thank you, ladies, so much for sharing tonight. Really, really great tips. I appreciate you guys so much. And I'm so proud of all of you, because you are influencing people and you are using your influence to make a difference and change lives and offer a transformation, not just for yourself, but for others around you too. So you guys are killing it. So proud of y'all. See y'all on book study. Bye.